You wake up in a world already paid for by someone else's yesterday. The light turns green because a traffic technician got a paycheck. The garbage disappears because a budget line existed. Your coffee tastes fine because inspectors, pipes, and an invisible lattice of rules kept the water drinkable. None of that came from your wallet this morning. It came from the strange place where my money meets our world. The first tension is easy to feel and hard to settle. Public goods. Economists use the phrase for things that are non-excludable and non-rivalrous. You can't easily keep me from benefiting, and my use doesn't prevent your use. Lighthouses, herd immunity, a functioning court system. These goods live in the space where everyone wants the outcome. No one wants to be the sucker paying for it alone, and free riding is too tempting. The tax system solves the coordination problem by saying, in effect, everyone chips in because everyone needs the light. Then there are externalities, the costs or benefits a private decision spills onto bystanders. If my factory's smoke adds hospital bills to your life, the market price of my product is lying. If your solar roof reduces strain on the grid on a hot afternoon, your neighborhood benefits, but doesn't send you flowers. Taxes and subsidies attempt to fix those lies. They make the bad neighbor pay up front and the good neighbor's contribution cheaper. You don't have to pick a side to see the logic. If prices don't tell the truth, choices won't either. The second tension is distribution. Not everything we buy together is a pure public good. Some of it is insurance we provide each other because private markets either price it cruelly or won't price it at all. Unemployment benefits when the economy shudders. Disability support when life flips the table. Old age pensions when the math of compounding and the chaos of jobs don't line up. This is where the argument gets personal. Should help be universal or targeted? Does targeting create morale-killing cliffs? Does universality waste money on people who don't need it? Behind each spreadsheet is a value judgment. How much do we smooth the sharp edges of luck? Step back, and the fight becomes a map. On one axis is how much we take. On the other axis is how we take it. Income, consumption, property, profits, payrolls, carbon. A system can be heavy on one and light on another. It can be progressive. Higher earners pay a larger share of their income, or flat or regressive. It can lean on visible taxes you notice or invisible ones you feel but don't clock, like employer payroll contributions or import levies folded into prices. Visibility changes psychology. People tolerate what they can explain, resent what feels like a trick, and comply more when the story makes sense. That's why tax morale matters as much as tax law. In some places, people pay largely because they believe most others do, that services are reasonably delivered, and that the process is not designed to humiliate them. In other places, the same rates produce less compliance because trust is thin. The cynic says, "Why should I pay? The roads still have holes." The realist replies, "Maybe they have holes because we don't pay." The moderator in the middle says, "Both can be true. Trust and performance chase each other in circles. The circle can spiral up or down." There's also time. Taxes are not just a snapshot, they're a timeline. Today's rates fund infrastructure your grandchildren will either bless or curse. A school built now produces taxpayers later. A bridge repaired now lowers logistics costs for a decade. A debt issued now buys speed but carries interest. Intergenerational fairness is a quiet voice at the table. How much do we borrow from tomorrow to solve today? And how much do we invest today so tomorrow doesn't keep borrowing? Zoom in and you find smaller tensions that feel huge when they hit your life. Local versus national control. Local taxes feel closer to your street. National taxes can handle pandemics and fighter jets. Earmarked revenue feels honest. The gas tax fixes roads, until an emergency demands flexibility. Simplicity feels humane. Fewer forms, fewer traps, until simplicity collides with fairness and we reintroduce complexity to handle edge cases. We crave a system that is simple, fair, flexible, predictable, and growth-friendly. We get trade-offs. The only question is which ones we accept. Now consider incentives. The caricature says taxes are a punishment for success. The more honest version says taxes shape behavior whether we mean them to or not. They can pull investment into clean energy with credits, pull R&D forward with write-offs, pull health insurance into more lives with exclusions. They can also trap people on cliffs where an extra dollar of income kills a benefit and makes work feel like running in place. The line between steering and distorting is not painted on the road. It's painted by humans, then repainted, then litigated, then tweaked again when the world changes and the old paint no longer leads anywhere useful. If this all sounds abstract, turn it into a day. You leave for work on a bus whose timetable exists because a budget did. Your paycheck arrives smaller than the number on your contract because some money went to retirement promises, healthcare programs, and present tense services. You pick up a prescription whose price is shaped by policy. You walk past a park that's quiet because rules against dumping are enforced. You open your laptop to streams of data flowing over frequency bands, under roads, through cables, across borders, all governed by treaties, standards, and taxes that keep the whole thing alive. At night, a storm knocks down power lines. Within hours, trucks from 3 counties show up. That choreography doesn't happen because everyone is nice. It happens because someone collected, allocated, and planned. Individualism has a good question. Does every dollar moved through a public system lose power to bureaucracy and waste? Sometimes, yes. Every organization has friction. But scale also creates miracles an individual wallet cannot. A vaccine rollout that halts a pathogen. A wildfire response that pulls aircraft out of the sky like cavalry. A basic research grant that seeds an industry a decade later. The tension isn't a morality play. It's math and management. Can we buy together the things that only together can be bought while leaving room for private risk and private joy? Collectivism has a good question. What kind of society do we become if every problem is labeled someone else's? Roads crumble, pandemic responses scatter, classrooms split into luxury and neglect. The winners live in gated competence. The losers live in resigned improvisation. Eventually, both groups pay, through crime, through health, through the slow erosion of common purpose. The tension here isn't guilt, it's geometry. A city is not a set of independent dots, it's lines between them. There's also the question of voice. No taxation without representation wasn't just a slogan about money. It was an operating system requirement. If you are going to collect, you have to account. If you are going to spend, you have to show your work. Transparency is not decoration. It is the price of legitimacy. Every receipt, every audit, every public meeting announces the same promise. We know this hurts. Here is why we're doing it. Here is how to change it if you disagree. Where that promise is kept, people argue loudly, but stay. Where it is broken, people avoid, evade, or leave. Technology changes the edges of the debate. Digital payments make under the table harder, enforcement cheaper, and privacy debates louder. Carbon accounting turns into real bills for industries that used to treat the sky as a free landfill. Cryptocurrencies test what it means to tax when the money itself can live anywhere, while the human who owes the tax still needs a passport, a road, and a hospital in one physical place. Automation raises a new fairness question. If machines earn more of national income, who should fund the commons they benefit from? Answers here won't be solved by slogans. They'll be solved by experiments, mistakes, and course corrections etched into code and law. So how much of my money should go to our problems? The honest answer is not a percentage. It's a process. It looks like budgets you can read, pilots that sunset if they don't work, credits that phase out when their purpose is achieved, simplifications that retire once complex carve-outs, local choices on local problems, and bigger ledgers for bigger storms. It looks like tax administrations that treat people like adults and people who stop treating tax offices like dragons. It looks like elections where candidates who say, "I don't know yet, let's test it," don't get laughed off the stage. If that sounds naive, remember the world you woke up in. You didn't build the traffic light or the clinic or the levee. Someone argued for them. Someone opposed them. Someone compromised. And then someone paid. You inherited the results. The next person will inherit yours. Right now, somewhere, a council is deciding whether to repair a bridge or cut a rate. Parliament is weighing a credit for small manufacturers against a levy on pollution. The finance ministry is choosing between an easy tax that annoys everyone a little and a fairer tax that takes 3 years to implement. They are not deciding whether to be individualist or collectivist. They are deciding what mixture lets the most people feel like the world is not rigged against them. There is a way to live with the tension without letting it tear you in half. Start small and honest. A dollar you keep is a tool you control. A dollar we pool is a promise we test. Both can be abused. Both can save a life. When you hear the next argument about tax, listen for the stakes behind the slogan. Is someone trying to solve a public good, fix an externality, insure against ruin, or simply reward a friend? Is a complexity protecting fairness or hiding rent-seeking? Is a cut about growth or about avoiding the hard work of reform? These are not partisan questions. They are maintenance questions for the house we all live in.